guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check out today's episode. And guys, today we're going to have a conversation on why I know why jigs will catch more bass than the soft plastic lures once the water temperature reaches a certain temperature. This is something that I have noticed, for 40 years in bass fishing. I sort of want to give you guys my theory what this is, and I want to talk a little bit about water temperature and water correlation in terms of when you want to use a jig or a soft plastic bait. So we're going to get into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, before we get started, we're going to be talking about my Blaukat Throwback Power Finesse jig today. This is the new jig I designed. It just came out a couple months ago from Pro Lures. It's got living rubber frog hair on it, hand-tied skirt, the best finesse jig you will ever fish. I'll put this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to order one. And I'd suggest just any type of a green or brown combination. Doesn't really matter. We got 6 different colors, but get you some 3/8 and some 1/2 ounce. And I promise you guys, you'll catch some good fish on it this winter. Also, guys, real quick before we get started, speaking of winter, we do have my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns on for the winter months. If you guys are interested in getting one of my maps that I built for Fish the Moment, this is a great resource, guys, to get some good fishing places that you can download straight to your electronic unit from my maps here. Tips and advice on how to fish each spot that I give you on the GPS locations. You can duplicate it yourself, a good overview of the lake. I'll put the fishthemoment.com Fish the Moment lake map breakdown link in the description of this video too, so I appreciate that. Okay, jigs versus soft plastics. When we talk about soft plastics, I'm talking about any soft plastic, like a plastic worm or a creature bait like the sea craw, versus a jig. Now, what is it, in my experience, that makes them bite a jig better in the wintertime versus a soft plastic? I've experimented with this, and to be honest with you guys, I can't really figure it out. I mean, I'm going to give you guys some specifics as far as when they start biting it a little bit more as far as the soft plastic. But here has been my experience. Once that water temperature starts to get down into like the mid 50s, something like that, mid to maybe upper 50s in the fall time of the year, which is usually anywhere between November and December, depending upon what part of your country is, I have noticed, and I've accepted it for over 30 years now, that once it starts getting down in the mid 50s, your plastic worms and your creature baits and your lizards, your tubes, anything like that, they do not produce as well as a jig, especially a small finesse jig like this, like my finesse jig here. Now, it has to do something with a combination of the mood and the personality of the bass and the water temperature, in my opinion. Now, I think what happens a lot of time is that once that water temperature starts getting down in the 50s, a lot of times, and especially up until about the early spring, I think bass start preferring to eat crawdads most of the time. Now, they're opportunistic, don't get me wrong. There's some fish that stay out in the middle of the lake and chase shad schools all winter long. But I think there's a population of the bass that we normally fish these type of lures in, which is usually in like less than 15 feet of water. I think a lot of those bass that live in 15 feet of water during the winter time, which there are a lot of bass that do that in most every lake across the country, they start preferring crawdads. And I think the reason they do that is because a crawdad has a lot of protein in it, and it helps them form and build their egg sacs in preparation for the spring spawning. That is a vital ingredient in forming an egg sac in a bass. So therefore, I think they target crawfish more than anything else. And I think personally, when you're fishing a soft plastic lure like this, like a creature bait or a worm, I don't necessarily they don't think it's a crawdad. They may think it's alive, and it may resemble a perch on the bottom or some type of hellgrammite or some type of creature, whatever's, eel or something that's on the bottom. I know like on the Potomac River in Maryland, they have eels there. That's why a black plastic worm at Potomac River works good. But when you're using a crawdad, especially one that's got, some type of a craw trailer on it like this, it's unmistakable. It is like a crawdad bouncing across the water there. And especially when you can match the colors a lot better on a jig than you can with a soft plastic lure to resemble a crawdad. So that's sort of my theory with it. So for the most part, like from now, when I hit November, guys, from November until about April, I'm fishing a jig 90% of the time. I just, my jig variations, I'll use some bigger profile, some larger profile, didn't matter. But this is a deal that doesn't matter what the water clarity is. I don't care if the water clarity is 6 inches visibility or 60 feet visibility. I'm going to a jig during the colder weather months. And I don't think it has anything to do with the bass's metabolism slowing down. I just think it has a lot to do, with the preferences of the food they're eating that time of year. So anyway, guys, give it a try, man. Put your soft plastics up about now. Take them out again in April, and just put you on a little finesse jig like this. Put it on 12-pound test line. Fish it around rocky banks, around riprap, around bluff banks especially. Bluff banks are outstanding for a finesse jig, and it'll add up to some good ones for you guys this summer. So anyway, I'll link everything in the description, guys, if you want to get set up with some of my jigs. Appreciate that. I'll check in later.